Dr. Jeffrey Halstead has been Canandaigua's hometown dentist for more than 35 years, offering routine dental care as well as cosmetic dentistry, implants, and dentures by their highly trained and experienced staff. Visit them online at canandaiguadentistry.com or find them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the FL1 Betting Podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. I am Paul Russo, joined once again by Kyle Evans. Jim Senacropi out this week, but don't you worry. We have his picks locked in, ready to go for him. Hopefully he's enjoying his trip down to Virginia for the weekend. Of course, we'll be recapping our picks from last week. Also, doing our picks for this upcoming week, week 4 of the NFL. Always kind of crazy to say out loud, a de facto quarter of a way through the season almost. And a couple headlines to touch on here so we don't completely waste our time. But Kyle, the week that was betting-wise was pretty interesting. We were talking about it a little bit off air. So before we get to our picks from last week and the bet card to see how we did, how did you fare overall, all things considered?
Yeah, it's wild that it's already week 4, but there's still so many unknowns. A lot of teams, you just don't quite know what they are because, I mean, it's very early and opponents matter. So I will say, though, it's been very chaotic and crazy. Like anything that you expect usually doesn't happen. It's usually the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And like tonight, I think the Cowboys are going to probably blow out the Giants, but then again, you just never know.
Yeah.
This league is probably one of the craziest leagues out there right now.
Yeah, it's to the point, and not to give too much away, but I don't know what to do with the NFL anymore, the way it's played out. So I guess without further ado, let's take a look at our bet card from week 3. So Kyle, we'll begin with you. Another 2-1 week for you. Your only loss coming last Thursday night on Thursday Night Football with the Patriots. They didn't cover, weren't really close, but you nailed the Packers, and you nailed that over on Monday Night Football with the Jaguars and the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills nailed the over themselves.
Yeah.
They scored 47.
Actually correct.
And yeah, the Packers put on a pretty good beating on the Titans in Tennessee. And then, yeah, the Patriots just failed me. They couldn't really move the ball much, and the Jets did enough. I will say Aaron Rodgers did look better than he did the first 2 games prior to that. But yeah, I'm definitely staying away from the Patriots. I'm not counting on them for any of my bets anymore. But yeah, another good week, 2-1. I've had three straight 2-1 weeks. Yeah. So I'll take it. Or actually, it was a 1-1-1 that one week. It was a pushover.
Correct, yeah.
Either way, I've been off to a good start.
Yeah, you've been by far the better of the 3 of us here this year so far. We'll go to me first before we get to Jim, who also went 1-2, but we'll touch on his 1-2 in a second. I only hit on North Texas, covering against Wyoming. They killed them. And then the Cardinals +3 and the Buccaneers -6.5. I admittedly got roasted by a couple friends yesterday about those picks, and justifiably so. But what are you going to do? So Jim went 1-2. Miami was able to cover against South Florida. And then likewise with me, the NFL picks for him just didn't come through. Texans lost outright to the Vikings. And then the Chargers also lost to the Steelers. So quite the interesting developments there. You'll notice, though, something here, Kyle, and everybody else. I talked, because obviously Jim, like we said, he's away. I told Jim he went 2-1 because I had that written down as 2-1. And we had a bit of a clerical error. So much like sometimes at the casino or anywhere else, Jim will be able to move on and be pretty thrilled with his picks for the week. The fact that he can roll some more.
Well, I guess we can all say that we had one blowout. I mean, each of us. I mean, my Jets was the blowout, yours was the Bucs, and his was the Texans.
Yeah.
So at least we're in the same category for that. Not a good category, but we can all bounce back.
It is a category. Just a couple headlines here I wanted to touch on. You mentioned the NFL. Some of the primetime games have been pretty crazy so far this year. We are now going back to last season, the beginning of last season, the underdogs have covered the spread against the spread. I believe it's now sitting at like 15-3-1. It's kind of crazy. One of those things I think you have to stash in the back pocket for some of the bets now, but like you take a look, especially what happened like Monday night, for example. Obviously the Jaguars didn't cover, but Washington ended up winning outright against Cincinnati. And I think you kind of mentioned right about the league, Kyle. Stuff you now really have to consider. I think, bets and stats like that where it's like, okay, clearly there's a pattern and clearly it makes a difference, and you can't ignore it, or you might be catching a loss, unfortunately.
Yeah, the primetime numbers are definitely something to follow. But I've noticed you can't really go by prior games as for like teams. History will show, like I said, for primetime, but like I said tonight, you can't just think that the Cowboys are just going to blow out the Giants. Right. I mean, we saw last week the 0-2 Broncos go into Tampa Bay, who are 2-0, just beat the Lions, and just absolutely destroy them. I mean, the Buccaneers had 7 points. I don't think anyone would have ever imagined that. So, yeah, it's hard for me. I think NFL is the hardest sport to bet, and honestly, other than the show, I'm kind of done with it. I'm tired of losing.
Yeah.
Even player props, because the Buccaneers, Chris Godwin, got his receptions, hit, but Baker's yards didn't hit. Like, it's so unknown every week.
Yeah, even Mike Evans' receptions didn't hit last week either. I mean, I got bit by Ramondre Stevenson last week on Thursday Night Football. Even I did hit with Breece Hall, but it's just one of those things where it's been chaos here for the first 3 weeks. And I mean, not that it's not anyway, if you don't fully know what you're looking at, but we just got done talking last week right about these player props, and most of them this past weekend you threw out the window pretty much. So
yep.
Exactly what we're talking about. I think that's pretty much it in the grand scheme of it. I know we're kind of navigating through more college football realignment, not exactly truly betting oriented there, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how that stuff plays out over the course of the next coming weeks. It typically doesn't affect teams too much, but you never know what might kind of play in the back of the heads of certain guys and certain kids and everything like that. Hey, speaking of betting, though, Kyle, do want to mention, pretty interesting, we didn't talk about Josh Allen a ton on the MVP preseason stuff, but might be the time to get while the getting's good before the number becomes maybe not as great as it has been.
Yeah, obviously he has the second best odds, I think. Did he jump Mahomes? I thought Mahomes.
It depends the book at the moment.
Yeah, so it's very tight, and if he goes out and beats Baltimore Sunday, and Mahomes, wins his next game but doesn't put up the numbers Allen is putting up, then yeah, Allen's certainly going to jump ahead for all the books, I would assume, and it's impressive what Allen's doing, and it's weird because the Chiefs, even dating back to last year, they won the Super Bowl, they were winning games last year. Down the stretch when they needed to. But if you really looked at the numbers, Mahomes wasn't always the guy that stood out. It was their defense. Their defense a lot of times is the reason why they won games. Where right now, the Bills' defense is all right, but Josh Allen's clearly winning them games, as we saw against Jacksonville. Yeah. So, yeah, jump on the MVP odds, I would say, right now.
Yeah. Get while the getting's good. I know I normally don't enjoy betting my favorite team all that often, but I'm starting to sniff around Jaden Daniels, I know that number's not as great as it was at the start of the year, so get while the getting's good maybe. But, hey, you never know. That's why we're here. All right, let's get into some picks here. Kyle, again, you're the man who has the floor first with another 2-1 week, 13 units in the bank. What say you?
Well, last Thursday is not stopping me from doing this Thursday night.
Okay.
Again, this should happen, but you never know. Cowboys -5.
Good news for you. I can get you at 4.5.
Wow. Okay, that's even better. I just think the Cowboys should get it done, and they will get it done. And then my next pick is going to be Saints +2.5 at Atlanta.
Okay.
I think they're due for a bounce back, and their offense is just humming right now.
Can't help you there, unfortunately. That's the best line available.
And I am going to go with the big game Sunday night.
Oh.
Bills +2.5 at the Ravens.
Love it.
Let's see if we can have my first 3-0 week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a game that even on Monday when we were talking about over on Bills Weekly, I was very high on the Bills this week, so I ended up staying away from it though. I'll give Jim's picks first here before I give my own. So Jim riding the Miami Hurricane wave, pun not intended given what's going on down in Florida right now. Minus 17.5 at home against Virginia Tech. Then he's going over to the NFL side. He's going to Indianapolis, the Colts +2 against Pittsburgh, and then the Rams +3.5 at Chicago. So I definitely like that Indy pick. The Rams pick, I don't know, but I like the first two of the three, and hopefully for him, we can get him back on the positive side with those picks.
Yeah, I just don't know how much the Colts are going to be able to move the ball. That Steelers defense is the only reason they're 3-0. I mean, the offense is far from good.
It's a fact. Yeah.
And then the Rams, the injuries you're a little worried about with them, which is kind of why I stayed away from it. I was thinking that game. But hey, it's the NFL.
Yeah.
Can't say one thing because the other thing will happen.
It's true. So for me, I stayed away from the NFL this week. I went 3 college games. I went into a little bit of a pocket space, Kyle, that you kind of went into a little bit last year in a way. So my first of the 3 bets is actually a 2-team parlay. I'm going Nebraska money line at Purdue, and then Indiana money line against Maryland. You combine them up, you get to pretty much minus 120, like you were making a normal flat bet of a team. So I'm going to go that route for my first. I'm going James Madison minus 20 home against Ball State. Shout out to Jim for that one. I'm going to go with that pick. And then Texas A&M minus 4 at home against Arkansas. Both A&M maybe not as good as we thought, but I think getting that number against Arkansas is a pretty good spot. So I'm going there. Sticking with college this week. Need to right my own ship a little bit better, and I'm following the path of what I feel like I know I can trust best. So that pretty much already brings us to the end of the picking podcast here today. Not a ton to talk about, in all honesty. It was a pretty, I don't want to say it was a mundane week, but the chaos of it all kind of, I don't know. There's not a ton to talk about. It's like, damn, okay, like maybe some teams suck more than we thought they were going to, but in terms of betting stuff, it was a pretty, if you were on the right side of it, great. If not, damn, the NFL got you again.
Yeah, I do think the books have to be winning quite a bit. I
Yeah.
mean, even last week, I think you said too that you went Buccaneers. I did.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just seems like the underdogs are hitting a lot, or they're covering, and that really is against what the public has been going with. So, not really much more to take from it. We got to see a few more weeks before we see what teams are really legit. I don't think there's. I mean, the Bills probably have the best offense right now going, but I don't know as for a whole team. It's hard to know. Like, how real are the Vikings, for example? Yeah. I mean, I like what they're doing.
Their defense is legit.
Yeah, I like what they're doing, but now who do they get this week? I think they get a good team this week.
They're at Green Bay.
At Green Bay, and if Jordan Love's finally back, we'll see what that does. But yeah, and then we have another Monday night doubleheader.
Not thrilled with either game.
Yeah, and then we have the London starts next week.
And the buys start next week.
Yep. So things will be changing here.
Yep, for sure. Ever evolving. It's the beauty of the NFL and college football too. And the sport, man, I tell you what. We also got, you're going to have to bring to the table next week, Kyle, maybe a couple future NHL bets since the puck drops on the NHL season next week. So.
Yeah, we're here one day before the Sabres get going next week, so maybe I'll drop something related to them. Maybe I'll bet them to win the Stanley Cup. No, I'm kidding. Maybe definitely the playoffs. So I do think Lindy Ruff there and some changes on the offense. But I'm excited. It's crazy. Hockey's going to be back 8 days from now.
Yep. It's the beautiful thing, and who knows? Maybe sprinkle in one of those games every now and then on our platter of picks. So.
And even playoff baseball. Remember we did a little bit of that last year.
Yep.
About winning the series, but at that point the division round won't be started till Saturday.
Right. We'll be in the middle of wild card.
Yep.
Still. So.
Yeah, we have stuff to bet. I mean, a lot's coming up.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, good luck to you, Kyle, this weekend. Good luck, Jim. Whenever you get around to catching us, whether it's live, and if you are watching us live, hi, Jim. If not, that's for whenever you're able to tune in. and check us out. Hey, appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in anyway, as is. We appreciate y'all. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff here on YouTube. By the way, I noticed specifically on this podcast platform where we put it out on the FL1 Sports platform, but Spotify now can it looks like every podcast you can rate, so make sure you give us 5 stars over there. I noticed actually over on Concrete Jungle, we got some 5 stars over there, so that's pretty cool. So appreciate everybody for tuning in and giving our content a listen to. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. As I already mentioned, you can find us on all major podcast platforms. Be back at it again next Thursday. Full roster, no inactives next weekend for us. And enjoy the weekend, everybody. Good luck with your bets. We'll talk next week.